Hello everyone, I'm Psychotic, and that's also my screen name. We are back today with episode 2 of our season 2 for Medieval Dynasty. Today we're going to try and get some of the skeleton of the village laid out and get that first transition of season out of the way. We're going to try and build our 2 storages, get up some wood gathering, and potentially a forge so that we can make the sickle to harvest the flax that we grew. Past that, we're just going to play it by ear, but we're going to get the skeleton laid out so that we can get some idea as to the shape of our village in our new location. So if you learn anything useful today, or if you have a good time, please don't be afraid to drop a like. If you're feeling friendly, maybe go ahead and subscribe. But without further delay, let's go ahead and load into our game. And here we are, all nice and loaded in, looking at the bandit camp right where we logged out. So I think one of the things that we're going to need to do is rebuild this field temporarily. And it is going to be temporary. Now Ryan pointed out to me, guys, and maybe you were aware of this, maybe you weren't, but when we built the field, I count off the squares, and for those of you that know me well, I count frigging everything. It's kind of my thing. But you don't actually have to count the squares. It tells you right at the bottom where you have left click to place and right click to cancel. So you don't actually have to count those off. That was just me being dumb. But we're going to do that, and then we're going to put our farm shed here. And for this, we're going to face north. We're going to put it right here. So eventually we're going to be moving them to this one instead. So we're also going to have one on the other side doing much the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and lay that field temporarily as well. As long as we get these cleared up before the end of the season, it should not cause any real issues with our taxes. Whoops. Nope. Like so. And then we're going to put another farm shed over here for this field. Now, we're not going to use these right away, but I want to at least get them in place because they are going to need to be in place so that we know where to place our other buildings. So we're going to destroy these guys now. Like so. Alright, there's that. There's one of the logs, so let's go ahead and collect some of the wood that we need for this. We are going to need a new axe here momentarily, so we may as well go ahead and get the materials together for that. So we want to get a hunting shack up, but I want to do the buildings in a specific order. The buildings that we use most, I want closest to storage so that we have less back and forth time, particularly with the heavy weights. It would be nice to not have to lug a bunch of ore or a bunch of logs halfway across the bloody map just to craft whatever we wanted from it. So that's one of the reasons that we're trying to get the skeleton set up the way that we are. Okay, so that one's done. The other one we're going to leave off for now. We're not going to worry about it at the moment. One of the other things that I want to do is put a house here. But I want it to be one of the bigger houses. I should not have destroyed the field yet. I was not ready to destroy the field. Because we need it for other things. So let's go ahead and replace our field. Okay. And then we know that for the spot for the house is going to need a 5x5. So for that, we're going to come into farming and this, and we're gonna say, let's see, how close can we get to this? Probably here. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so that does come right to the end, more or less. That's gonna be perfect for the house because it's gonna spit out right into the field. So at this point what we're going to do is we are going to use more field to outline 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then we're going to destroy this. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 1 extra. So we're going to take our field again, and we're going to set it up like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we know that this area is blocked off for the house, and we're going to put up a regular house here for now. That will change in the future. Really? Oh, that might be a bit of a problem. We'll see how that goes. That might be just a wee bit of a problem. We might need to go 1 extra wide. But, oh no! I forgot we were still in destroy mode. All that work for nothing. So what we're doing is we're using these fields to lay out exactly where we're going to have the big house so that we don't accidentally build where we're going to have the big house. And I think we'll be fine. We might need to go 1 further out, but that's not really going to be an issue because this is taking up space. So at this point we can put our storage, which is the main reason that we were doing this the way that we were. So we're going to put our resource storage on this side. And for this one, we're going to set it out right there. But I want to make sure that we're in line with the end of the building this way. There we go. And we're going to run it over until it tells us we're good. There we go. Now at this point, we can destroy this. Not remove insulation. There we go. So now we don't need this anymore. Nor this. And then we're going to wind up having to do the same thing on the other side, but that way we're going to have a road basically straight up the middle here with access to this, and then we'll have food storage over here, we'll have material storage over here, and we will be able to put like our lumberjack spot here and maybe the forge right next to it, and on the other side we can do the kitchen after the storage, and that'll give us a little bit more space to play with here. We're going to have to make it a little tighter than I was hoping, just because of the way that this area is laid out. We were a lot closer this way than I thought when we laid down the original field, and I would generally just make that the closest field and do the next field behind it, but we already built the barn, so kind of pigeonholed ourselves there, but it is what it is. We will make it work. We always do. I feel like that's my friggin' catchphrase at this point. Oh, there's lots of rocks back in here. Okay. I don't know that this is going to be enough for what I have planned, but it's alright. I would like to get another storage and another forge built. We know that we're going to need 2 forges anyway, but I would like to build them over by the mine, and we're actually going to be using the mine that's up here, because I think that that's closer to us than the one that is all the way down here, for both. Now, I don't know if it will let us place the woodcutting area close to stumps, or if it has to be live trees. So we will find out, I suppose. I know it has to be within 50 meters. Well, 50 meters is really a long way. I mean, I'm used to dealing in feet, because I'm in the US, but 50 meters is no joke. We might be okay. I don't think we have to have a tree right on top of the damn thing at 50 meters. I think we might be alright. We actually need to run real quick over to the starter town, because we need to finish this before the season changes. I don't remember if I believe the next stage requires you to wait for a season change, so I would like to get it done while we're still in spring, because those Dynasty points are going to be very, very important to us in getting staff for these buildings that we're trying to throw up in a hurry. But we also need to get the forge up sooner, rather than later, because we're going to need the forge so that we can build, oops. We need the forge to build the sickle that we need to harvest our current crop. So that is definitely a priority as well. I mean, we have the whole next season to do it, but when you think like that, you have a tendency to miss your deadline. Or at least I do. Proper. I can offer you something warm and filling. That sounds amazing. There you go. Now tell me something about yourself. How do you know my husband? There's not much to say, really. I've just arrived in the valley looking for my Uncle Jordan. I didn't expect to be done searching quickly, to be honest. Oh yes, he was Unagast's friend. I remember now hearing that he had eyes just like yours. I'm sorry for your loss. That's okay. I don't even remember him, really. Most that I know about him is from my mother's stories. She always looked up to her big brother, loved him furiously, even when he stopped visiting. A lot of people did, from what I've heard. There was something special about him. Yeah, tough shoes to fill, huh? The only shoes that you need to worry about filling are your own. Every man is the architect of his own fortune. That is solid life advice. Don't compare yourselves to others. It is never a fair comparison. Thank you for saying that. It's what I needed to hear. But let's not talk about me anymore. What's your story? I was traveling band of troubadours. Never managed to learn to play any instrument, but I was pretty decent with singing. Our travels brought us to the valley not long after the death of your uncle. Still remember seeing Unagast for the first time. He had so much sadness in his eyes. Jordan wasn't just a friend of his, he was a part of him. The band left a few days later. I stayed. There was something in Unagast's presence that I simply knew my place was by his side. You probably noticed the age difference. No, not really. What? Are you implying that I look old? Nothing of the sort. Anyway, so it looks like you were anchored here by love. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, you could call it that, or blindness, or stupidity, poor judgment maybe, whatever sounds best to you. Pretend all you like. You fell hard for the grandpa with the sad eyes, and you know it. I did. He annoys me sometimes like nobody else, yet I can't imagine breathing without him now. But don't let me go all soft on you. You surely have some places to go. It was a pleasure talking to you every second of it. Here, I know it's not much, but it'll come in handy when starting your new life. Everything costs coins these days. I really appreciate that, but I wasn't looking for a charity. I'll manage. Oh, come on. Try not to be a hero. Men. All right. Do something for me, then. It won't be a handout, just your first pay. What can I get you? There's a farmer in the village. She usually supplies the tavern with rye, but I haven't heard anything from her in a while. My stock is almost gone, and you don't even want to imagine what will happen when people run out of beer. Consider it done. Excellent. Alright, so let's go give this to Unagast before the season changes. Hopefully he'll still talk to us because it is their bedtime. Shit. Oh, we got lucky! Looking at a proud house owner. Excellent. You were a thief? I was, and a bloody good one, I might say. Picking pockets was my bread and butter. I could steal a piece of steak right off your fork and you wouldn't even notice. It wasn't greed that motivated me, just survival, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy the process. Stealing's still a crime, no matter the motivation. I'd say you'll want to wait and hear a bit more before getting high and mighty on me. I'm sorry, go on. We had an annual festival in Jellenberg. I always thought it always brought a whole bunch of outsiders to town. You can imagine what that meant for a man in my profession. I could do a day's worth of work in a matter of minutes. I grabbed a few coins here and there, some jewelry, a new pair of boots, and then I saw a nobleman with money bags strapped to his belt. He was basically begging to be set free. I sneaked behind him in the crowd like I did 1,000 times before, child's play. I gently grabbed the pouch, did a little shimmy magic, and there it was, sitting neatly in my palm. Just needed to turn around and disappear like always, and then wham. What happened? I was punched in the face by what felt like a bull, and I was so shocked I didn't even realize what had happened until I hit the ground. My head was pounding. I could barely see straight. And do you know what the first thing I saw... What was the first thing I saw next? Another blow coming? No, a smile. A big radiant smile on the face of the man with two different eyes. It was your Uncle Jordan, the one I took for a nobleman. He stuck his hand out, helped me up, and offered me a beer. Just like that, then. Just like that. I don't get it. That's just how Jordan was. You see, your uncle was deadly clever. Smartest man I've ever known, hands down. He could see the world like nobody else, predict things. He was always at least a dozen steps ahead of everyone else. So on a rare occasion that somebody surprised him, he was intrigued. And he wasn't expecting you. Indeed, apparently even despite my failure, I was still the one that had come closest to robbing him, and he liked that. So I'm guessing you accepted his invitation, right? Didn't really have a choice, did I? I was terrified of the guy at the moment, so we went. He took me to the most expensive and most crowded tavern in the whole town. I remember that it was the day of the festival. Even entering that place was next to impossible. He didn't seem to care, though. In a matter of seconds, we were sitting at the table being serviced by 2 barmaids at the same time. It was surreal. In my mind, there was only one explanation. He owned the place. And did he? Not at all. It was the first time in town. It all felt like a dream, to be honest, especially with me still being dazed after the punch. I was still sure he was a nobleman, his manners, his clothes, the way he talked and moved and chugged a beer like it was a race, wiped his face with a sleeve, and burped like a drum. He went from the lord to the savage like that. I realized that moment a dozen times until... I relived that moment a dozen times until I realized why he did that. It wasn't a mistake, oh no. No laziness, no moment of weakness. He wanted me to see it, to understand it. Understand what? That he was full of crap! You see, your uncle was one of a kind. He was a true master of arms, and his weapon of choice was his confidence. What does that even mean? Imagine a closed door with 2 armed guards at its sides, and you want what's inside. What are your options? You can force yourself in, bribe the guards, try to pick the lock. But Eorden, he just holds his head up high and walks right in and demands the door to be open. You were right. That sounds surreal. I never knew anything about my uncle. My mother's stories were quite different. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I hit the one that says it doesn't sound real. It surely does, huh? I and the pack were the only ones to have seen behind the scenes of Eorden's show. Even for us, it was unbelievable at times. Wait, the pack? Oh dear, there's so much more that you still don't know. Our story hasn't even begun, but it's getting late. Come on, you can't just leave me hanging like that. Alright, I'm going to tell you a bit more. After that beer that we had a couple more, and then some meat if I remember correctly. We were talking about our past, dreams, our convictions. Started making some drunken, absurd plans. I thought we were just joking, to be honest. The next thing I remember, I was waking up in silk sheets. I'm guessing they weren't yours, right? Are you kidding? It was the first time I'd touched fabric like that. The ceiling in the chamber was so high it could fit a giant. I thought I was dreaming, and then the servants walked in. I was ready to flee, but instead of fighting me, they presented me with breakfast. Really? How come? It was all Eorden's doing. I've never found out how he managed to pull it off. Whenever I asked, he just burst into laughter, even years after. Needless to say, I left town with him on that day. The first time I went outside the town's walls and never came back. That was the day the pack was born, and 3 years later there were 5 of us, a real team, a family. We called ourselves the Reminders. Oh, how I wish I could be there. It sounds incredible. I've never had adventures like that and probably never will. Easy, my boy. It wasn't always fun and lovely, but it's a tale for another time. It really did get late, and I'm sure you still have a lot of work to do. Come find me tomorrow and we'll talk some more. Okay, so it wasn't a season change, it was the next day. Whoops. Well, we might actually get saved the trek home. It is close to midnight, and it will yank us to our bed on season change. For good or ill. Ah, it's alright. We got a free ride home. Turtle! So let's go ahead and cook this food. Thankfully, we don't have to stand here for a real long time to cook because we set that in motion. Excellent. Oh, and it refilled our food anyway, so this is all just gravy. Not that I'm complaining, mind you. Okay, so what do we have for logs for this guy? I know we chopped some before we left. 2. We chopped 2. Sometimes I work. Should really get that house done. I would love to jet back down to town, talk to Unagaust, and pick up that farmer boy, but I'm pretty sure he's gone. And I think one of the things that we're going to do a little bit differently this time around is our farmers that take care of the field are all going to be male. And the females, their wives, are going to work in the barn. That way, we never have to worry about pregnancy leaving us without somebody in the field. And most of the barn work we can easily handle ourselves, especially with the sped up time for crafting currently. So I think that's going to save us a lot of headache as far as that goes. To actually harvest our field. This is going to be a lot tighter than I expected. This thoroughfare is not... It's going to be pretty narrow. But, you know what? The narrow is actually not really a big deal. It's not going to be as pretty. But, it's going to allow us to have more, be able to get around quicker. Alright, I want this to be lined up at the bottom here. So we've got... Right, like that. And we're gonna face perfectly east. Whoops. Gonna get it lined up again because I wasn't facing east. We're gonna want crab walk until it lets us place it. Because we're gonna use this far more than we use the smithy. However, we do want the smithy as well, so we're going to go ahead and put it down since we have the ghost of that down. So again, we're going to face east, and since we have the foundation in place, we can line up the ramps. And we're going to crab walk. There we go. So that's going to go a long way towards helping. Alright, so... yeah, this isn't going to be as pretty as I had hoped. I had grand designs on how I was going to plan out this part of the village, but it's going to be super efficient for making things, because we're not going to have to trek as far with our materials. So I think ultimately it will work out for the best, and I have said from day one that I am very much a function over form kind of person. I have a horrible tendency to try to build things as efficiently as possible, regardless of how they look. I was particularly awful in Minecraft for that. I would build some of the most fantastical things that would do all kinds of different things for you, and they were basically giant squares. But you could get free stuff out of them. So we do know that there is a possibility for bandits to spawn over on this side of the river, right over here. We've seen it before. It was actually the episode where we had bandits raining from the sky. And I think that was a level for, you know what, let's build another spear, just to get that chapter done. Because that's going to give us some dynasty points. Yep, now it wants us to complete some quests for some neighbors and successfully flirt. We're not going to worry about that right off the cuff. We will worry about that when we visit town. I'm hoping to get another hunter for our wife. Because remember, our wife's not going to be out of it as long as the other wives are. Because our wife can only have one child, so we don't have to deal with it happening twice. Excellent. So there's a smithy, and here's a place to make planks. We are in great shape right now. I am all about this. I don't need 6 of them. I would say maybe 3. That'll give us 4 total. And if that's not enough, then something's gone horribly wrong. I really, really want a scythe, but I can't justify the cost currently. So we're not going to worry about a scythe just yet. It would make this tremendously faster. I know we can't craft one just yet, because you have to be to bronze before you can craft one. But we could buy one. Right, let's... oh my god, this is going to be just absolutely awful. I forgot how much early game farming sucks. Hey, we already got the pigsty though, which means we can make our own fertilizer. Well, once we get some money up. Now thankfully, I'm not going to have to spend 3 hours after stream threshing this shit. Because we should be able to do it all more or less right away. We did not make nearly enough of these. Yeah, this will not be happening twice. We are getting a sickle. Or scythe. You knew what I meant. I don't know why, but for some reason I get those 2 words twisted very frequently. And I know they're semi-similar, but not identical. Like, I know what the difference is. I don't know why I can't say it right when I can think it right. The proclivities of the language center of the brain, I suppose. I'm really glad that there's not like an infant mortality mechanic in this game, because during the medieval stages of Europe, infant mortality was quite high. And I'm really glad that that's not something that we have to deal with. I suppose, though, they probably couldn't get away with it. There would have been a huge outcry publicly if they did something like that. Because we can't talk about children dying, even if it's historically accurate. Sorry, that was a little bit more political than I like to be. It just disturbs me that we have this proclivity to ignore actual factual history because it might be a little disturbing. It's disturbing because we already lived through it, so we know it's wrong. For, cabbage, so we can start getting potage food. Oh, that was perfect. That worked out perfect. Alright, so, no. Before we tear that down, we're going to have to build the new one. Otherwise, I'm not going to get it to line up right, because for some reason it doesn't like to line up with that left corner unless I start from this right corner. I don't know what's up with that, but we're just going to go with it, because it is what it is. Alright, you're 9 by 10. You're 10 by 10. Alright, so then that will allow us to destroy this field. Perfect. That's going to put us in a good spot here. I do want to get a well up relatively soon as well, just so that we don't have to keep running all the way down there. I'm really, really hoping that this works on threshing. I don't see why it wouldn't, but... Oh, thank God. Okay, so for now we're going to throw the flax stalks in here. And the flax seeds, we need to make sure that we save at least 200 of them. So I don't think we're going to do the third field straight off, but we are definitely going to do 2. Oh, shit. So we need 6 more for 200, and then 10. So we need 16. Because for some reason, the villagers don't like to use exact amounts. They will always wind up short if you give them the exact amount that they need. So in this particular case, we're going to leave 5 extra per field, just for oopsies, and go from there. I think this area we're going to use eventually to put in some rot barrels. I think that's going to be important. Because until we get pigs up and running, and that's going to take quite a bit of money up front to get the pigs going, but until we get them going, we're not going to have a steady supply of fertilizer, so we're going to have to use rot to make it. So we're actually going to scrap this and put in a tier 2 house. Not insulation, we want to destroy. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Now this is unfortunately going to take more material than what we currently needed. Okay, we're good on that front. Oh, no we're not. Now we're good on that front. Good enough. Now we need more rocks because, yeah. So my original plan was to set up a series of the junker houses over along the road there until we could get the bigger houses to build the actual housing district. And we may still do that to some extent, but remember, the only job that matters about having your workers close to their workplace is the farm. So we absolutely need this house up by the farm right away so that we can man the farm and not have to spend all day ourselves doing it again. I mean, we're still going to have to do it for the cabbage haul, but going forward, I don't want to have to do that every season. That's going to get to be nuts. We also need to use some of our flax to visit a tailor so that we can get our winter clothes before winter hits. I don't want to make the same mistake I did last game, or last season, or not season in game, but last season of the game, where I kept talking about how we needed to get winter clothes before winter, we needed to get winter clothes before winter, and then winter hit and we still didn't have any winter clothes, and we're kind of screwed because of it. So we're going to try to avoid that this time around, and hopefully Syke will learn his lesson. Oh, no, no. So I had all these grand designs of everything that we were going to get done today, and it looks like we're only going to get about half of it, which in the grand scheme of things is not a big deal, because you guys actually enjoy this game, so rushing it is kind of pointless, because I want you guys to be happy. So we will try to be as efficient as possible without trying to push through it as quickly as possible, if that makes any sense whatsoever, or I'm just rambling because I'm super tired. I was up very late last night. My cat was angry with me, and I don't know why, and she decided that we were not going to sleep last night. I saw 2 o'clock in the morning, and I still got up at 6, so that was fun. It's amazing I'm not grumpy, but usually that hits the second day. I'm usually good for a day of disrupted sleep. That doesn't usually affect me over much. It's the day after that it really gets me. I kind of miss our lake area. if I'm being completely honest. Like, it was super far from the mine, and that was unfortunate. But the trees and the flat were absolutely amazing in that area. I was very, very happy with that location. And I know that we're going to make this one work. And we did increase the build limit. So we doubled it. So it's actually quite possible that we wind up building 2 different villages. Just to see if there's another spot that we can get a solid village. Because we know we can get away with the regular build limit. We've done it before. So maybe that's what we'll do. Rather than exceeding the build limit in one location, we will see about building 2 villages. Because that would be kind of cool. Hey, Captain Chaos. Is the co-op update out finally? Not yet, man. We are still waiting for it. As cool as the co-op's going to be, and I am super stoked for that, I am even more excited for the new map. The Oxbow map is coming out with it. And that is what I really, really want. Hopefully, we are more or less done with this season by the time that it comes out. But if we are not, we will be dropping this season to start one in the Oxbow. Because I really want to check out the new map, and we already know what this map's like. We've spent all of us have spent excessive amounts of time in this map. So I really, really, really want to see the Oxbow map. I'm very stoked for it. They are, in their roadmap, they have 5 portions that they're... 5 surprises, they called them, that they're going to show before the actual release happens, and I believe we're only on number 3. So I think we still have 2 of those. Yeah. Absolutely, for both. And I have some friends that will probably start playing when this becomes co-op. They don't like playing survival games by themselves, I don't know why. But to each their own. But I will probably play some co-op with my friends as well, but that's going to be not on stream probably. So I know at least one of them is super shy. Which is kind of sad, because we do get into some shenanigans that would probably be pretty entertaining to you guys, but I don't want to push anybody outside their comfort zone either, especially not friends. I feel that. I just kind of, hey, we should try this. 50-50 if she likes it or not. That's fair. That's fair. And it's hard to tell what people are going to like as far as games go, because I have some friends where I'm like, oh, dude, you like this game and this game and this game? You're really going to like this one. And they're like, no, dude, that game sucks. I'm like, what? It's really hard to tell. I think he'd probably like it if he actually played it, but that's between us. And I'm not going to push him. Like I said, I don't want to push anybody outside of their comfort zone. That's not cool either. Though sometimes I really, really struggle. I know, especially some of the games like Grounded and whatnot, when you're playing with other people, you're like, dude, why do you keep wasting all of our resources on this stupid shit? But you don't want to say that to them because they're having fun and you don't want to take that away from them. But at the same time, like, it really makes me want to move and build my own base instead of sharing one because... yeah. In Conan, I legit made my own room in the base to store most of the important goods so my friends didn't make Yeah! Yeah! I've done that! I've made hidden chests inside our bases specifically so that people would stay out of them. That's a thing that I've done. When we were playing Valheim, I actually, the first base that I built for us, I did a raised flooring with a grid pattern under it, basically like a subfloor. And I did it for structural reasons, but I used the subfloor. I would randomly pull up, I had 3 spots where I had planks, the plank flooring, that if you pulled the plank flooring up, you could find random chests that were hidden under the floorboards, just so people couldn't get into them. And see if that gets us up to being able to build the... It did! There's the sewing hut. Okay. So on this side, we're going to set up kind of what we did over here. And then we're going to... instead of the logging and then the smithy, we're going to do a kitchen and then the tailor. At least that's the plan. I would really like to get a storage set up by the cave. Not only to get us into copper, since we can, but to get us rocks quickly, because we are running out in this area very, very quickly. And I know that we can get rocks out of the mine in a hurry, especially if we can bring... if we don't have to carry the rocks all the way across, if we can drop them off right outside the mine, it won't be super bad. Oh, survival level. Excellent. That's not really what I was going for, but I'll take it. So we did max out athlete, which means our next one should probably be survivalist. So that's going to reduce how much food and water we consume, which will definitely help. Means we can get more done with less. So now these two are orphaned. So let's go ahead and take them out too. They're not too close to the field. I would have left them if they had trees on the other side of them, but they don't for a little while, so they'd be weird. So we'll just pull them out as well. We're going to get our last 2 logs, and we're going to get this guy built. And then we're probably going to stop the stream for the night, guys. It is getting to be about that time. We did not get nearly as far as I had hoped, but we did make some decent progress, so that's alright. We will definitely work at it and get better in the future. But I think we're coming along nicely. We got the layout the way that I wanted it, and we were able to use the fields to space out our stuff appropriately. So we've got that house where it looks nice. We've got this guy straight across like it should be. So we're going to put a kitchen next to this, and then we're going to put the tailor next to that, because that's order of most frequently used as far as stuff that comes out of the barn goes. The food storage is definitely going to be a big part of helpfulness, though. Let's put a bunch of sticks in there. So we've got those knives that we're going to sell. We needed straw, right? Yes. Let's take all of the straw, because it's going to be a quick craft anyway. Quick build. So we can just do it all and throw what's left back. And there we have it. We have food storage up and going. So let's go ahead and eat our fill, and we'll put the remainder in food storage. And then we need to get the food left that we left in our house and put it in food storage as well. Porridge can probably go in there as well. It's not going to hurt anything. Berries, not going to hurt anything. There we go. Yeah. Oh, we got some poison. Apparently that meat was starting to go bad. I didn't realize. Okay. So we've got some meat that needs doing. We could take some sticks and get some extra knives, I suppose. But yeah, we're going to craft these knives and then probably stop for the night. So if you learned anything useful tonight, or if you had a good time, please don't be afraid to drop a like. If you're feeling friendly, maybe go ahead and subscribe. But either way, have a fantastic rest of your night, guys, and thanks for watching. We will catch you next time.